This is ACOFE. Laura Marie and Jessica Marie proudly present A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, a podcast. Fair warning, everything the hosts say is explicit, full of spoilers and adult content, and shall not be used against them. They have opinions. Let's try not to drag anyone for expressing themselves and just have fun for an hour. We all deserve it.
This episode contains spoilers from The Cruel Prince, Queen of Nothing, and The Priory of the Orange Tree, with brief mentions of ACOMAF, Crescent City, and the Black Witch Chronicles. For a full list of brief spoiler-free mentions, please check out our show notes.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, your weekly deep dive into the YA literature and fandoms that we love. I'm Laura Marie. Jessica Marie is here too, and this is part 2 of ACOFE Welcomes Literary Libra. That is our wonderful friend Samantha. We are talking about movies, we're talking about books, and we're talking about absolutely everything. So please enjoy. Earlier in the conversation, Samantha, you were talking about your thesis and about how you like your thesis and how it was this, like, it was a very important thing for you. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, what was that?
You know what's so wild is that if this podcast had happened like 2 days before, I wouldn't be able to tell. Okay, so I'm gonna tell you something. So, like, my thesis. So this is what I liked about being back home in Florida for my last year of my graduate student was that I got to make something within a vacuum. So I always knew I wanted my last thing I ever did in academia to be about my mom in some degree, because she's always supported me my whole life. She was the one that when I was like in high school, she's the one that told me, like, "Pero Sammy, I think of you like a director. Like, I see you like in movies, directing movies." And I'm not, and that's my mom's accent. She's Latin. So I always knew I wanted to do that, but I knew I wanted to specifically cover a topic that is, and we talked about something earlier. I think it was you, Laura, who talked about like fetishizing or glorifying violence. So one of my biggest issues I see, especially like with like single women, is like the way that abuse or like spousal abuse is depicted in film, where we always see the couple once the abuse is commenced. And then we look at the woman and the audience and the way that it's written and the way that it's developed is just like, well, why doesn't she leave him? And then we judge her for not leaving him. Or we look at single moms and we talk about like children having daddy issues, but we don't talk about the men who left and their like shortcomings of being humans and like their responsibilities. And so when I looked at, and so I was raised by a single mom. And my film is called La Casita de la Mariposa, and it is a magical realism film. It's called The House of the Butterfly. And essentially what this is that it's talking about the night my mother left my father, but as told through a fairy tale. So you're seeing 3 generations of this woman. So you're seeing her as a little girl, you're seeing her as a mother, and you're seeing her mother and the connection they all have. And it's all in Spanish. But in particular, what I wanted to discuss, and this is something I've noticed, like I've talked about this a lot with like women that are like probably like our parents and like our parents' generations, is that prior to like our generation, our time, a woman was born, assumed to be a mother, assumed to be married. And then once jobs and things were in the market, like an assistant, school teacher, a maid, these were the things that were happening. And even if you did have those jobs, like that's not what people assumed. So something I noticed is that when you're a little girl, you are, or boy or whatever, I can only speak from my own experience. When you're a little girl, you're tucked away at night with stories of like, once upon a time, there was a princess named Laura and there was another princess named Jessica, and she met her Prince Charming and they lived happily ever after. But how many women go through divorce? How many women have suffered abuse? How many women have not met their Prince Charming? And so the like log line of my film is like, what if you meet Prince Charming and he ends up being a villain? And so the topic, like the main thesis of the film, that I'm trying to dissect in like 20 minutes is like the systemic way that we like raise our girls to like, one day you'll meet a prince and get married, but it's also the same groups of women, like your mothers, your aunts and uncles, that basically tell you, well, like, stick it out. It's going to be fine. Stick it out. Like, it's better to be unhappily married than to be a single mom on your own. And this film is very bright and colorful. It's very beautiful. There's dance sequences. There's a dreamscape. Like we built a 9-foot by 9-foot castle in the middle of the desert in California. And basically it is a love letter to my mother because my mother broke that cycle. My mother left my father and raised us on her own. And my sister is now a tax attorney, and I'm living in Los Angeles, and I have like the privilege of having a dream. And so I wrote it as a love letter to my mother, but mostly I wrote it as like a love letter to all single mothers. And like specifically something that was in the film that like was very important to me, which is why I said when you said like to fetishize violence, is that the spousal abuse is very, very little. It is 2 seconds of the film, and there is no physical contact. And because it was very important for me that was not the main focus of the story. The main focus of the story was these women and the way that like we love our children, want them to have the most. We also are afraid of them being alone and afraid of like the unknown of what that can be. And so that was my thesis. And the reason why I say this is funny that we have this podcast today, and I fidget a lot, I'm sorry. The reason why I say it's funny is that I'm in this like place with Diagonamore where I'm editing, and I kind of was like, I had a day to myself yesterday, and I was like, you know what? I've had this like book I've wanted to write since 2018. It's a contemporary like kind of romance. Why don't I just outline it? Like, why don't I just outline it today? And then 7 hours later, I have like the first like 15,000 words of this new contemporary romance book. And I was like, why is this happening so easily right now? And it's in the same vein of like a Cita de la Mariposa. And I just was very like, whoa, this is hilarious. This is very cool. And it's very intimate. And so, yeah, it's just something that I'm kind of like developing and working on. It's very brand new, but you are the first people to know about it. So.
Honored.
That is
Thank
amazing.
You.
Oh my gosh.
So exciting. And it's just like, you literally had to put a pin in it, and you're like, I have these thoughts. Mm-hmm. Let me get them all down on paper before like they kind of like go in one ear out the other, because we're all over the place all the time.
Yeah.
That's so, and I think people who like, the people who are judging and making like commentary of expectations, it's the first people who haven't been exposed to a certain lived experience. It's always easier said when it's not happening to you. And then when or if that situation you do ever find yourself in, that's when you're like, oh, well, this is different when the shoe's on the other foot. Like, I didn't realize it isn't as easy as, well, why don't you just like it's so much deeper than, it's not just black and white.
It's not. And that's yeah, genuinely. Yeah. That's kind of what I was trying to do with it. But I was really grateful I got to make it in a vacuum, because it was so weird through making that movie. So my whole crew, accidentally, by the way, this happened accidentally. My whole crew making that movie was female. But in all different cultures. So like I had like, it was all like, it was mainly an Asian crew, but there was also like I had my Turkish AD, and then like I had like my casting director, who is a American woman, a white woman in her 60s. And like, what's so funny to me is that like, I started off making this story about my mother and like my own irritation with the way that these like relationships are portrayed on screen. And then I started like connecting with these people because they all experienced fathers of this nature, or like their mothers raised them this way, like in the sense of like, single moms, like on her own and like blah, blah, blah. And so all these people came together, and like, I ended up having like a call with my DP and her mom and my mom, and we were all on this call together. And these two moms, and like my DP is Chinese and my mother's Peruvian, and these two mothers who never met before, they've such different human beings, such different walks of life and everything, connected so heavily on their ex-husbands that like one of the scenes in this movie was actually very much inspired by the mother of my DP. But it still flows. And the reason why I say I'm glad I was in a vacuum is because when I was like workshopping this and pitching it to people in my school, they didn't really like, I don't want to say they didn't get it. It's just that they didn't like, they weren't like really as excited about it. They were kind of like, I don't really know how to like help you because I don't really understand what you're trying to do. I just don't really see it. And then I had this moment where, so when you get your thesis, when you get your MFA, basically there was just a lot of like, we trust you. You got it. Okay. Who's next? And, cause I was very adamant. I knew I wanted to make it in Spanish. I knew I wanted it to be magical realism. I knew I wanted it to all these things. And when I got to my thesis committee, so when you present it, so do you guys, well, when you present a thesis, you have to go to a committee, and this committee like basically like gives you feedback and also like tells you like their own opinions, and like it has to basically approve your thesis, right? And so I'm on the Zoom because it's COVID, and my whole crew is there, and we're waiting. It's our first time presenting our film after like the first edit with like placeholder music. And my thesis committee, I've never said this before. I've never, ever felt or like used gender or anything of that nature as like an example. But everyone on my thesis committee was a white man over the age of 60. And they all were just like, why was your character like, why was the husband so mean? I don't think that's what your film is about. I just feel like you should like not, I think you should play away from that a bit more. I think you're taking away from the overall story of your film. And everyone in my crew was like, whoa. And I really had my gutsy moment. And I just was like, whoa, I'm so sorry. But has anyone here read my script? Like, has anyone here like that is exactly the purpose of my film was this. And I had this moment and I said this, and I swear I said this because they were very much just very adamantly like, they just very adamantly like, well, like not understanding why he had to be that way. And they said something to me that they were like, well, I guess some cultures are different. And I went, whoa, gentlemen, I have to cut you off because I don't think you meant it the way that it sounded. So I'm going to cut you off, and I'm just going to say this. As a woman of my age, I have not seen much of the world. I have not lived much of my life. I have not lived a fraction of what all of you have had here combined. So if I, at my age, have countless women who agree with this film and like see themselves in this narrative, and you are going to look at me and say you've never heard of this, you've never seen this, or you've never even conceptualized the nature of a woman being treated this way, then I highly believe you're either lying to yourself, you're lying to me, or you're part of the problem. And they all just sat silent. And then my editing professor chimed in and he was like, well, what if you do this? What if you do that? And I was like, thank you. That's enough of this today. Thank you so much. I just was very like, so I don't know. I had a very powerful moment in that. And I've been receiving very good accolades in the festival circuit. And like, I'm very proud of it. And I got to show it to my mom for the first time, and she cried, and it was like a very intimate moment.
That was going to be my question. If you had shown it to your mom. Yeah,
I did, but I specifically waited until everything was done and everything was ready. And then we had a moment where it was just like the two of us, and I showed it to her on our TV at home, and she cried and she cried, but it was like a sob, like from within, also because she's like watched all my movies. So it was weird. She like cried because she felt very like, she told all of her friends that like, well, Sammy's making a movie about me. You know, Sammy, she's doing her thesis and it's about me. All the friends are like, that's so cool. Okay, like
but it's such a flex from like for a mom. I feel like my daughter's talking about me. What's your daughter doing?
Exactly. That was exactly like what she was like. That's exactly what she was doing, and like so it was really nice. So she was on one point very proud of me from a mom. One point feeling very like seen. And everything in the script I had shown her beforehand. She okayed everything. So like I was very respectful of my mom. And then on the other side, she was very proud of me because she has seen my work from like the very, very beginning to now. So
I'm like, I'm so happy for you. And I'm so like angry at the patriarchy at the same
time. Trying to mansplain your movie to you.
Right.
Like, you are
a goddess because I would have gone nuclear. Like, oh my goodness.
I just immediately was just like, the conversation has to end now. The conversation must end.
And to be so eloquent and
Yes. And
to
calm.
push back, to say, excuse you.
Yes.
Hold up.
Yeah.
Because this woman would have been too stunned to speak. Like that is actually happening.
But I am very excited because like in the coming months or so, because the festival circuit's only just now begun. Like we entered in like October, so we have like a full circuit until October. But in the coming months or so, like I'll be posting like the trailer for it, so you'll be able to see more of it. So yeah.
Is there, and maybe this is just me being selfish, in a Zoom world, there's a lot of festivals who are still like, pay this fee and you'll get an access link to view the film. Is there a way that we can do that so we can like, you know, contribute to you and this, you know, the person that we want to support and love and just be so excited about this film?
I'll do you one better. Once the circuit's over, I would love to show it to you.
Honor.
I am
Thank
beyond.
you.
Yeah, beyond. That is amazing. That is incredible. Oh my God.
I'm honored by the kindness, and I'm honored by the fact that you invited me here and that you care about what I have to say. So thank you so much for that.
Oh my
Thank
gosh.
you for being a voice for so many people.
Yeah.
Like, for your mom, for just women. Like, this is huge. And of course, the only people who don't see that are the people who aren't impacted, don't know what this is. Their eyes are closed. It's like, I don't know what part of, like, everybody has like different nuance, like different parts of TikTok, but I'm currently going through the part where it's like the women's parody on the men's podcast TikTok.
I love that as like an alpha male. You could do that, by the way.
Love it. And the best part is, like, us as women, we know that it's satire. However, it's also like infuriating because at the same time it's not. It's not, because those conversations that we're mocking are actually happening. So that's
right. You've seen grown men like say the craziest shit, and I'm just like,
you almost feel like it's a bad SNL skit. And
yeah,
it's
yeah, you're like, no, this is fake, right? This no. But
and you know, and then they have their bros. Yep, you know, just hyping them up. That's exactly, you know exactly what I mean, bro. It's.
Have you seen that? Okay, there's this TikToker, there's this woman who, she's this gorgeous woman, and basically the whole thing that she does is that she's like on her phone and she's talking to someone off camera, and she's like asking a question that's like inherently like sexist or feminist, and it's like, so it's like, do you think women should be able to have male friends? And there's someone off the camera that's like a guy, and it's always the same guy, and he's like, no, absolutely not, because all guys are going to want to. And then the question goes, so should men be able to have female friends? And then the video ends, and it's like, that's her whole thing, is that she'll ask a question and then she'll ask
the
this,
double
like,
standard of you know, the expectations of it all, right?
Yeah, but it's a whole thing on her TikTok. The whole channel is like all these double standards we have for gender, and it just
that's amazing.
Laura and I had briefly talked about it in our, like, we had like a villains episode where we were saying, and this goes to Taylor Swift and her Netflix special where she talks about, and it brings up the clip of an interview that she did, where the double standard that comes from men and women, and men are ambitious, women are calculating, and men can not have to reinvent themselves, but women constantly have to be reinventing themselves to just make themselves be relevant. And that's constantly happening, and you see it all the time in the content creators. And there's one creator, and I don't know who she is, but I do follow her. She does not the stitching, the duets, where she duets men. She has a whole series called like duetting men who do the bare minimum, and it's either like them just like doing flexing in the bathroom mirror, or like that's all they're doing, and she does it as a woman, and she's like, this is what y'all look like, just to prove a point that women would be criticized if they did the same exact thing as men.
1000%. And also, I would like it if you sent me one of these videos, because I would like to.
I'm sure, like, because my FBI agent will hear the voice, and
we'll get it.
It'll come up this week or something.
So we absolutely love and cherish everything that you have to say and all of your opinions. So as a woman filmmaker, as a woman author, are there any films, TV shows, or books that are like coming out that you are excited about? Or I know it's like award season, like Oscar season, like anything?
Yes. If you haven't seen Parallel Mothers with Penelope Cruz, I highly recommend you do. It's the new Pedro Almodovar. Oh my God, I can't pronounce his last name. Film. It's a Spanish film. Also, I'm excited to watch Cyrano when it comes out. I feel like everyone needs to go out and see this movie because it's Peter Dinklage. It's fantasy, musical. It's everything you want in a romance film. And then there's another film that's called The Lost City. Have you seen the trailers for this?
Is that the one with Tom Holland?
No, that's Uncharted. That's a video game.
Whoops.
Wait a minute. Actually, scrap everything. No, don't scrap anything. But this is one that like you two. This is for us. This is like marketed towards us. So basically, The Lost City is starring Sandra Bullock.
Yes,
and she is a romance novelist.
Yes, I have seen it. Laura sent me the trailer.
Did I?
Yes,
Because I'm like,
Yeah, no, because it's like Channing Tatum or something is like
Channing
the Fabio.
oh,
And he legit thinks it's a and she's like a romance
yeah.
novel, and it feels surreal, but it's actually really happening. Like she really gets kidnapped. It's Daniel Radcliffe's in it.
Daniel Radcliffe is the villain. He's the villain.
Yeah.
I saw that trailer and I was like, "Shut your mouth!" Just book talk
In a theater. I will watch that.
My gosh. And so that 1000%, I'm very excited for that. And honestly, in terms of like book releases, I'm just really excited for Crescent City too. I know it sounds really like cheesy, but I just really need SJM in my life at least every year, if not twice a year. And I understand she works hard. I'm just simply asking.
Like Crescent City, it was our first like book related episode, so it hits really close for us.
Oh my gosh.
And like the whole like Danica Bryce, like we've always related so hard to those two characters. And you know because she's also working on the Hulu ACOTAR stuff. You just know it's gonna be a while till we get that next ACOTAR book and that next, obviously, Crescent City 3 book. It's gonna be a while, and it doesn't sound cheesy. I mean, I know people have their own issues with her, and that's fine as well. But there's something to be said about an author that can bring so much unity for people also, and so much emotion.
Yeah. She's my favorite form of escape, and I'm so excited. Well, is there anything I should like be know? Well, you guys are more in the know than I am, to be completely honest with you. Like, so what is the 411? What should I be in the know of? What's going on?
I don't know, Jess. What are we? We know nothing.
Nobody tells us anything. We're not.
What?
No, like we don't.
You run a book podcast. But also, that's how I feel as a book talker. People are like, "Well, what do you?" I'm like, I don't.
Honestly, I think a lot of the times it's like, because the book podcast is really focused on fantasy, and I still consider myself new to the genre. Everything that we've kind of worked through, Laura, this has been like Laura's, like her niche genre for so long.
I only read books I've already read. That's what I feel like.
And I'm still like, oh, this is happening. This is happening, and some things are a little bit, like you said, formulaic than others. So I feel like I'm just playing catch up is what it feels like.
Okay. Then I'll tell you. Okay. So Crescent City 2. I'm very excited for Crescent City 2. Gallant is the new book for V.E. Schwab.
Mm-hmm.
And it's supposed to be like The Secret Garden mixed with Crimson Peak.
You love Secret.
That's your shit.
I know I do. And that's why I'm so excited. And then and also I love V.E. Schwab and Holly Black.
Her new one.
Her new adult fantasy novel. I'm buying it the day it drops. Like the day it actually, I think I have it pre-ordered. So, yeah. So those are like the big things that I'm waiting on. But yeah.
Awesome. Sorry, this is just a personal question. Did you ever read the Ninth House?
So
did
I'm
you ever...
currently reading The Ninth House.
Okay.
I'm reading like 4 books at the same time, but I'm only like 100 pages in.
Okay.
Have you read The Ninth House?
Yeah, no, I did. I read The Ninth House a while ago, and it was like way not what I was expecting, in a good way. In a good way.
Okay, good, 'cause it's a little slow for me at the start.
Yeah. Yes. Because she is yes.
He's building towards something. I know it. Like I'm as a reader, I'm like, I know you're building something because everyone who reads this tells me they can't put it down. And so I know, and every time I say that to someone, they're like, just give it what it needs to be given. And Labor Dugo has
There's that little pinpoint. You're like, it's struggle. And then once you hit the stride, that's what you're waiting for. Okay.
Yeah. It is, it's set in Yale, right? Yeah. It's set in Yale, Jess. So like,
okay.
Yeah.
So like, is it a secret? Is it like a secret society? Oh, I love a secret.
It's your shit. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, it's everybody's shit. It just, you just have to like, you know.
Yeah. Everyone would love this book.
You just gotta chug along a little bit. Yeah. It's just one of those things. And the end is just like, well, bam. Yeah, that is a personal question that I wanted to ask you.
I'm excited. And once I am done with it, now I know who I can message about this.
Yeah. Yeah, no, totally.
When do you find out about like which festivals like you'll definitely be? It's a rolling
thing. Okay. So there are festivals that I've been accepted into, and this is like a beautiful thing. I've been accepted to a lot of like European festivals, but I'm not going to fly to Europe on the drop of a hat. And also I got into Vienna. I got into the Vienna Film Festival, which was huge for me. It's a really big festival, but it all went online because the COVID numbers were surging. And then I didn't get into Sundance and I was really upset, but then Sundance went online and like canceled the festivals anyway. And so that's basically like that. Like it's just really on like a case by case basis if they're going to do it, if they're not going to do it. I've attended festivals that have done it and they've done it in a really respectful manner of like, you know, mask, let's be good, everyone be vaccinated, like all these things. So it is what it is, but I will let you know as these things go. But yeah, now I'm getting into like this, like I'm getting into like the thick of like the big boys, like the big festivals, if that makes any sense. And so, yeah, but it's like every month. So every month I like wait. Every month I'm like, okay, well, this month am I going to get it? Am I going to not?
You have like your deadline, your submission deadlines, and then you have to wait deadlines that they have to nominate, and then they have the deadlines of this is when we announce, and it's all around.
And it's like a lot of like, it's so funny. It's like this like thicker skin that I've had to develop that I thought I developed during like acting and stuff, where it's like, you know, when you're an actor, you get rejected all the time. It's like, no, not a big deal. But I think what happened here is that like with the festival circuit in this film, I was on like an uphill, like when I first made my film and started submitting into festivals, I was getting like accepted. And I was like, whoa, this is amazing. And then December and January hit and December, early January, I just got this like, and I got declined from a couple of the ones that I really, really wanted. And it was like this really weird experience of just like developing a thick skin in a different way, in a different format. And I'm now kind of submitted myself, like I'm in full submission to whatever happens. Like, I just need to know that like I've done everything I can do to promote my film. And that's all I can do. Like, I meet with a festival programmer every single week and we talk about strategy and stuff like that. And like, and so, yeah. It is what it is. But I get excited every time I get a yes, and I'm understanding and grateful every time I'm given a decline because at least I tried.
Oh, that is, at least you tried. That is amazing. And it's so important. There are so many things that don't happen because people are afraid to try and they're like afraid of failure. So that is really important to put out there.
Well, remember, another Cinderella story, you lose I don't remember. I'm bad at baseball.
You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
You don't take.
That is so true. Oh my gosh.
I don't know. I feel like when you ask the universe, even if it doesn't give you something immediately, because you ask, the universe is like, oh, okay. I hear you. I see you. I see what you want. I'll give you something. in life, there's like, there's like an escalator, right? And there's like this obvious thing of like, well, you do this and then you become that. But if everyone is doing this, then the pool of people who get to become that is very small. Mm-hmm. And then there's a bigger pool of people who get stuck in these paths. So sometimes you have to create your own path to get there. And then you like sit there, like I will listen to a lot of like directors talk about like what they do in the last 15 years, 20 years, blah, blah, blah. And like oftentimes it's like the most random shit. And just like, and that somehow brings them to where they needed to be today. And so, well, how did she react? Because I'm fairly certain that when you're like the narrator on a book series, like very rarely do you get recognized because like no one sees your face, And so someone coming up to her and like not just saying like, oh my God, I love your work, but like in the nature that you did, in the position that you are in, must have fucking been like the greatest day of her life. Like it's so funny to me that you were shaking going up to her, but like I'm seeing it from her perspective, the recognition that like that must have been like, imagine like her journey she's been on, like imagine the journey of like her career to this point. Like it's so wild. So obviously fuck now your besties and now you're 2 degrees or 1 degree away from
I guess 1 degree.
Yeah. She's a direct link.
Like she's like a direct link, yeah.
You're 1 degree away from I'm having a panic attack for you.
I still have I go like Laura and I were talking the other day and she said something and I was like, it didn't process. And she goes, and then like I just started crying and I was like, I'm at Bryce. I'm like completely self-inserted for this second book. And I was like, she's like, I knew you didn't make the connection.
Yeah, no, I was just like, okay, I know that you didn't emotionally make that connection yet, but I'm glad you got there.
Wow, Sam.
No, but like, at the same time, like, I have to give Laura all of the credit because like she was like she pushed me, and I wouldn't. But like,
no,
I wouldn't have gotten into this world. I wouldn't have loved these characters who have so like changed my life if Laura didn't say, you need to read this. You need to read this by a certain day. And when I see
I gave her a deadline.
And when I see you, this is what I want to hear. So, like, I give her the credit.
Wow. First of all, this is so gorgeous. This is so beautiful. And yeah, Laura, like, you did. Like, even beyond, like you set up that meeting and this beautiful connection with another human being. And, like, now you have this gorgeous, like, tattoo and you're wearing like the sweatshirt and you're doing all these things, and like it's like, look at like what you've gifted a human being, you know what I mean? Like if you look at book structure, if you look at story structure, like the hero's journey in every single moment in life, and this is like probably my favorite thing ever about Vicious, is that like in Vicious he's like everyone's a hero, everyone's a villain. So like, and I take that as like everyone's a protagonist and everyone's like another one of these creators on like the hero's journey, basically, because I felt this way for some friends of mine, and I know that some friends of mine have been this for me. But on the hero's journey, there's a moment in everyone's life in which they're too scared to do the next thing, and then there's that character that comes out of nowhere and is basically like the person that like basically puts it in perspective of like, you either do it or you don't, and this is in every single story ever. And in this moment, you were that character for Jessica. And like, that is such a cool connection. And so congratulations to the two of you and to ACOFE podcast. Wow.
It's nice to tell other people that understand these little things that happen, because when they happen and it's just like Jess and I, like in isolation, it's like, okay, well, we can, it's a big deal, but it's not that big a deal. But like seeing your reaction, it's like, oh, wow. Yeah, that really,
maybe it was like
yeah.
It's a huge deal. It's a freaking huge deal. Yes. And I'm so honored and blessed that you told me and that you like shared that with me. And then we get to gab about this and vibe about this. Cause I feel the same way. Like yesterday I hit like past the 60,000 mark on my like edit in my manuscript. And I was so happy. And I told my family about it. And they're like, that's amazing, honey. What does that mean? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they're like, kind of like, haven't you already finished the book like 5 times already? And I was like, it's called editing. and they don't understand. And so it's like different when you're talking to like book readers and like writers and stuff like that. And they're like, oh my God, that's amazing. So you're just that much closer. And like, so cool, blah, blah, blah. That's like such a hurdle. And like, well, obviously it's not to the same degree of what you just said, but the point is like, it's nice when you get to talk to people who get it, who understand you and like, can like make you feel excited and make you feel warm. Yeah.
Do you feel like the longer you have your work in your hands, like until you give it up, you're going to be like, I'm editing. Like until like the longer you hold on to any type of content, I would think that.
Well, what's funny is this is why I brought up earlier, like, the fact that I like started at like not drafting. I think you can actually say I'm starting to drafting this new concept for like contemporary romance novel is like, I sat there and I was writing it and it was happening so easily. I had this out of body moment where I was like, oh my God, I could finish the first draft of this in a week. Like I could finish this in a week. I feel it. Like I could do that. Like if I just dedicated the next like couple of days, wow. And I had this like out of body moment at my desk where I was like, I could finish this. I could finish this. And I could like start querying very quickly. And I was like, this is so weird to me because with Diagmore, I'm like, nobody look at it. Nobody touch it. I'm going to rewrite this and rewrite this and rewrite this. And I think it's because I have more of like, I feel like I put more pressure on myself for like developing a fantasy world because I've never done that before. And I love fantasy that like, I look at my own writing like a reader and I'm like, oh, like, this isn't what I want. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't like, and then I get in my own head, but with like a contemporary romance, I can be a lot more like, kinder to it. And I can be like, well, this is more human. There's nothing I have to make up. This is just like there's no like fantastical like, you know, political system I have to cultivate or like how people like drink water. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Like whatever fantasy things are. It's just real life. And so not that I think contemporary is easier. It just happened to be this one story that I'm writing just is coming about much more easier. So I feel a lot less like precious about it than I do with Diagmore. Diagmore, I feel very like, I'm very scared for the day that I put it out because then I'll no longer. So I read a quote somewhere that I don't remember who said it, but it was like, you're never really done writing. You just have a deadline. Does that make any sense? And
that
so,
absolutely makes sense. Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to feel like that forever. So
do you feel that you might be more protective of Diagmore because you started it when you were a child?
Yes, 1000% high. I will cancel my therapist for this week now. I was like, wow. Yeah. Because I have all my like childhood hopes and dreams attached to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And there's a lot of you as a child that is in there. And even though you said you lost a lot of it and you found your journal and you got a lot back, being vulnerable enough to like put yourself in that space to rework that story that way brings up all that childhood, and it's inevitable that you put it back in.
Exactly. Wow. Yes. Whereas this other one, I'm kind of like, oh, this is fun and people would like this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Great. Have a good time. This one is like, I feel naked. You're going to see me. But yeah.
I can't wait for
Yeah, I know.
I want the first. I want to be part of the pre-order. I just want like give me all the content. Yes.
If you don't think
so
respectfully, you're crazy.
Yeah, I know. Like we're grateful for like everything and anything, and when we love a story, it's like when you see people who are like not even ARC readers, they're the beta readers, and you're like, they get all the stuff that's not edited out. Like I'm so jealous of that.
That's so
like,
wild.
That's why I'm jealous of like beta readers. It's not the early access. They got, you know, when people talk about Sarah and then they find out she deleted a scene, but like you want like every little morsel that like your favorite people create, you know, it's not enough.
Wow. I think that's in the imposter syndrome in me where I'm like, I don't view it that way. I view it as like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm so sorry that I'm like tasking you, like reading this like work before it's done. Like I'm if you hate it, that's totally fine. Whereas like I have a beta reader selected, my friend Hannah, who is not my friend. We don't like in person, but she's my friend. I met her through the Throne of Glass. I met her through the Throne of Glass reactions, and then she watches the podcast I make with my friend Belize, and we all just like clicked, like me, her, and Belize, we clicked, and she's just so neutral. And I was like, Hannah, would you beta read for me? Like, is that something that you'd be comfortable with? Because I'm very like that. I'm very like I'm not even letting Belize beta read. Like, I'm not letting like, I wanted someone that knows me, but that is so neutral to me that could tell me the truth. And so this is just this girl named Hannah in Ohio who's going to beta read for me. And she was like, absolutely, I'm on it. I'll do it.
But
and,
you need that on it, like as a creator, like especially like we've spoke about earlier, when you're like, you thrive on that constructive criticism because you're like, great, tell me how I could, that's great that you're going to like fluff me up, but like, that's not going to make me better. That's not going to make the work better. So like what are those next steps?
Yeah. And I also didn't want to ask anyone I knew because I didn't want to be annoying, because I didn't want to be like, did you read it yet? Are you done? I know are you done? Good. I need it back. You know what I mean? Like, no pressure, but you did say you'd beta read. So I just didn't want to do it.
And it's really exciting too, because like Jess, you and I cannot be like casual fans of things, right? Like we are not casual fans of anything. So it is really wonderful that social media and Book Talk specifically has enabled, I'm going to say us, but like us, the community, to find each other, so that like not only do we recognize each other on like Book Talk and everything, but we like each other, we get along, we are like creators, we're putting stuff out there, and not only are we like actively supporting, right, like hyping, you know, like, yes, like, please, what, like all good things, right? But that it isn't like a toxic positivity circle either. It's like really genuine. And I don't see that in like kind of other situations. But the people and community that I have found, Jess, I'm speaking for you, I shouldn't, it is just a really positive, lovely, supporting group that I am just really grateful for.
Me too. Wow. 1,000. Every word you just said is what I tell my boyfriend and my friends and my mom, is like, and my family knows. My family kind of sees the way you just perceived, and I'm really grateful. Can I just give one little like comment shout out to an author you guys just interviewed, because she's a very lovely person, and I really want to say this in terms of like just background of Book Talk. Speaking of just like supportive, a person who I've never met in person, but that you guys have interviewed and talked with, Amber Nicole, the writer of the Book of Asriel.
She is a cheerleader. I mean,
the most beautiful person I've never had the pleasure to physically meet. She messaged me out of nowhere, talking about the universe, talking about timing, all these things. I was in the middle of editing. I was reading my book. The imposter syndrome came in, and I was like, oh my God, I don't like this. Like, what am I doing? I paused. Tell me how. In the minute that I paused, I got a DM, and it was Amber. And out of nowhere, we weren't talking about anything beforehand. This was literally, she just said it out of nowhere. She'd never done this before. She's always very supportive. It was a really, really, really nice thing. And I responded, and I was like, Amber, I'm on my computer right now and I'm editing. Like, how did you do that? So it's just really wild. It's just really wild.
She's wonderful.
I mean, everybody that we get to speak to, and we've grown our friendships, because you know that's what it feels like at this point. Like it's beyond, oh, there's this person that I know on social media. Like it's genuine friendships and genuine connections. Like I just don't feel like we had like this whole like, here's our intro, here's Literary Libra, but like to us we're like, this is our friend. Like we get to take time out of our Saturdays to kind of hang out with our friends, and I
looked so forward to Saturday. You have no idea. I was like, oh my God, yay.
We didn't want to be like, hey, you're still on, right? You know?
Oh, I'll try. But like, I need you to like, if I can convey this with my eyes, with my soul, with my being, every day I was like looking forward for Saturday. Every day I was so excited. I messed up my makeup twice getting on here. I was like, oh no! I felt like I was going on like a
amazing.
You know, like friendship dates where you're like, what are you wearing? Yes. What are you wearing? Are you getting cute? Like,
yes. No, just a cute top and jeans.
Right. But yes, I'm so otherworldly grateful that I got to meet you guys and that I know you, and then I don't know. It's so beautiful. It's a beautiful phase of life. It's a beautiful new chapter. It's a beautiful new, like, I said this, the reason I said phase of life is because I said this like back when I moved back to LA. I said something in one of my videos where I was like, I realized, you know how everyone's like, oh, this is a new chapter. I feel like I didn't start a new chapter. I feel like I closed a whole book and like started a new one. And it's like so gorgeous. And I love what I'm rewriting and what I'm writing in these fresh blank pages. And it's so gorgeous. And I'm grateful that I get to put you guys in these pages and be in your pages and stuff of that nature.
Oh, well, I want to be very clear, and I will convey with my eyes. This podcast is a way for you to shine. So you are on this episode now. If later on you would like to come back and talk about something,
I'd love to.
It is open. Like, this is like a standing thing. Say the word.
I will 1000% take you up on this. And once I get closer and closer to these things, I would love to do this. And also, if you want to talk film and all these things, I would love to talk. It's just, in general, I'm really, really grateful. And please know, I will reach out. And so please reach out to me as well. But yes, thank you for giving me this kindness. And thank you for being my friends. And just thank you. I'm very grateful.
Oh, love you. So let's officially wrap up our recording. Samantha, do you have like a little anything you want to send off?
Well, obviously, like, thank you so much for listening to this very long podcast. I hope you had as much fun as the three of us had. I had an incredible time being here. The Poppy Fields Diagonal will be coming out later this year, so please keep a lookout on that. You can read the Wattpad chapter that is currently out. It is linked on my Instagram and on my TikTok page, which is Literary Libra. My Instagram is my actual legal name. And once I get closer to actually having a established novel of this contemporary romance, the people that are listening to this are the first ones who will ever have heard of it. So literally before my family. So there is that. And yeah, you are in very good company. Thank you, Jessica and Laura. You are probably the brightest, shiniest, most honest presenting people I've been able to meet in a really long time. And you really made my Saturday. Thank you.
So thanks for listening. And as you know, please feel free to follow us on Instagram, ACOFE Podcast. But more importantly, make sure to follow our friend Samantha, also known as Literary Libra, on TikTok, and Samantha Ferrand on Instagram. You could also find Laura and I both on TikTok as well, at ACOFE Laura and ACOFE Jessica. Thanks for listening, and we'll hear from y'all soon. Thanks. Bye.